My name is Ed Olson, and I am the VCE Agriculture Extension Agent in Henrico County. Virginia Cooperative Extension brings research-based information to the localities we serve. Our Master Gardeners are a trained group of volunteers who extend the extension resources and programs available to the localities, in this case, Henrico County. This program was originally supposed to be an in-person program and held at the new Fairfield Area Library. The Fairfield Area Library wishes they could host you in the library, but they are currently closed due to coronavirus. The library continues to be open online for ebooks and e-audiobooks, streaming, research, and learning 24/7. And they have new services like digital library cards and virtual story times. Area libraries like Fairfield, Libby Mill, and Tuckahoe are offering curbside pickup of holds almost every day. And you can return materials using the drive-through on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. The Henrico County Public Library website is www.henricolibrary.org, where you can look up great gardening books and put them on hold. Henrico County Public Libraries is looking forward to opening sometime soon and seeing you at the library. We thank Henrico County Public Libraries and the Fairfield Area Library for hosting the Growing at Home series in 2020. The Henrico Extension Office is always here for you to diagnose plant problems and answer all your plant-related questions using research-based information. The Henrico office can be reached at 804-501-51660. At this time, our office is not open for walk-in consultations, so please call with your questions. Today's program is being led by Henrico Master Gardener Grace Harrison. Grace became a Henrico Master Gardener in 2008 and currently serves as the Henrico Master Gardener Association President. She also provides additional talks through the Henrico office's Speakers Bureau program. If you are a Henrico County resident and would like to inquire about the availability of a Henrico Master Gardener speaking to your garden club or homeowners association on a gardening related topic, please call Terry Lotzenheiser in the Henrico office at 804-501-5160. If you have any questions for Grace during the presentation, please type them in the Q&A box, and we will, at the conclusion of Grace's presentation, we will answer those questions. All right, Grace, are you ready to take over? Grace?
There we go. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't unmute it.
That's okay.
This is all new to us. It's really strange to be sitting at home and giving you this presentation tonight, but I'm so glad you're here to listen. Like Ed said, if you have any questions, be sure to type them in and we'll go to those at the very end. I don't know if how much you know about kitchen gardens, but we're going to go over a little bit of history to begin with to let you know a little bit more about kitchen gardens and how it was originated and so forth. Most of us are aware that there is the larger gardens that our parents or maybe our grandparents shared and did when we were younger. I know my grandparents had a large farm, grew lots of things on it, and I learned a lot from both my grandmother and my grandfather. So yeah, that's what we think of when we think of a garden, is a real large one that has long rows and lots of different things in it and a lot of work. But what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight is a kitchen garden, which is a little bit different concept. It's still growing things, things that you can use in the kitchen. That's mainly the concept of a kitchen garden, is to—
Grace,
Yes.
can I stop you for a minute?
Yes.
Earlier I stopped your video. Could you restart your video so people can see you while you're talking?
Okay. Is that the blue one at my very bottom?
Go over to the left and it should say start video.
Okay, I've got a icon across the bottom that from right, from right to left, I have a blue box. Says meeting controls.
It might be all the way up at the top of your screen.
Your screen sharing. Wait a minute. Okay. Start video.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Sorry about that. This is all new to all of us and we're getting used to it. So we appreciate your patience in all of this. Let's talk a little bit about kitchen gardens. Like I said, most of us remember our childhood and families that had lots of garden space and so forth, and that's not always the case these days. More people are having living in the city, have smaller places, less yard space and so forth, but we're hopefully by the end of this we will help you to understand that you can have a kitchen garden and do real well with it. For a little bit of history on it, there were a lot of, okay, let me change my, okay, I've got to get it to change now. There we go. But you know, with a well-designed kitchen garden, you can provide food and cut flowers and herbs with little maintenance. It doesn't take a whole lot if you research it and get all of your information and so forth. So it all depends on what you want to grow and what your end result is with this. And we're going to cover some of those things after we go a little bit more through the history of it. The first kitchen garden design usually had 4 squares, and it would have a central water source in the middle of it because they didn't have running water back in the 17th century always, and so they had to prepare different ways of doing it. In the 17th century, Louis XIV planted a kitchen garden at Versailles. It was organized into 16 squares. It was surrounded by a pond. There were 29 walled gardens containing fruit trees, vegetable, berries, and all of that. And so it became very popular, and people started getting more interested in it, and the word spread and the practice spread. And so more and more of the different countries were doing a lot of researching and trying to get their own gardens growing. This is a picture of one that was at Versailles, the King's Kitchen Garden. It was, research on it shows that it was a lot of expertise that went into this. He did a lot of research in order to get it going and having it the way he wanted it, and also creating areas that would be beneficial for fruit trees in one area, maybe vegetables in another. One of the interesting things is green peas were considered a specialty type of thing then, and they were able to start growing a lot of that, which made a lot of the people happy because they were able to grow things that they hadn't had before. A lot of fruit trees were brought in and put into the garden in its area. And was well kept. They had lots of people that would keep all of the gardens up to date and weeded and watered and all of the things that needed to be done to it. Next, we move on to our country. I think we all have probably heard about Thomas Jefferson and Monticello and his vegetable gardening. That's a picture of it. He had a pretty good size one. He had to really have a lot of work done in order to get the garden going the way he wanted it to on this hillside. He had to they had to dig out a lot of the side of the mountain and get it level so that they could do it. This all happened in crops were cultivated in the late 1700s and early 1800s. That's when everything was really at a peak in our country. This garden that Thomas Jefferson made possible was at least 1,000 feet long. It was a terrace or a garden plateau, which was very interesting. He also created the little house that you see there that was about halfway of the garden. And that was so if he wanted to, he could go in and sit down and relax, or maybe read a book, or just take a break. If a storm came up or something, he'd be able to go in and sit down and relax for just a little bit. It was a place that he really liked to go to and to enjoy. This kind of overlooks a orchard that has about 300 trees in it that a lot of them are still living and producing. There were some fig trees, currants, gooseberries, raspberry vines, and so forth. So it was a lot of things that Thomas Jefferson was interested in growing and having. He brought a lot of things from England and had things imported so that he could grow them. He enjoyed that, kept a lot of records. I've understood that goes back, and that's how they were able to recreate what all he did and how he did it, because he did do such a good job with all of it. Okay. Kitchen garden ideas, because you can use your own imagination to do this. Of course, you want to make sure that you've got good soil. If you can get a soil test done, that always helps to know what nutrients are found in the soil and what you might need to put out there. It can either be a formal one or an informal one, depending on what you like, or what you want other people to see. You really do want to get it close to the kitchen, because that's why we call it a kitchen garden, is because you're going to be going out and picking things that you may want to use for dinner that night, and they're fresh. That's another good reason for having a kitchen garden is you know what's fresh, you know what you've grown, you know what if you've put any chemicals on it or not, and things like that. So you want it pretty close to where you're going to be keeping an eye on it, and easy to harvest and so forth. So this way we're doing more smaller harvest instead of the larger harvest that you would with the big garden, because this one we're doing just for mainly for meals or for something really special. And we'll go over some ideas in a little bit that you can do with it. But you want to have a little bit of a lot of different things that you like to eat and enjoy. Some things like lettuces, scallions, radishes, peas, cherry tomatoes. Tomatoes are so easy to grow. It really is easy to grow those. So sometimes if they get real big, you might have to stake them, use some type of a cage so that they don't fall over. Sometimes you might have to cover them with bird netting to keep the birds away from them, but that's still really a great satisfaction to be able to look out and see the things that you have growing, to know that you've done it on your own, and that they're fresh. You don't have to worry about how long they've been sitting in a warehouse or something like that. So strawberries, you can do that. A lot of hot peppers can be done. Some things like cucumbers are going to need to be trained to go up a trellis or something, because they do grow longer vines, and you'll find that with some of your beans also. But radishes, a lot of those don't take up a lot of room. They grow very easily and make a nice viewing that you can show to other people how you're getting everything fresh. And you can also include a lot of flowers with those, herbs, multicolored fruits sometimes, a small fruit tree of some type. Blueberry bushes are really nice to do it. The biggest problem with blueberry bushes and a few other things too is that the squirrels and the birds do love them. So you have to be very careful with it. And they can be very inventive if you have it covered with bird netting or something, because I have experienced that. I have blueberry bushes here right outside my kitchen door, and the birds and the squirrels usually get more than we do, but we enjoy it anyway. Okay. Some different type of ideas. You can either pick a color scheme. You can pick different textures that you like. Some vegetables are just gorgeous watching them grow, like Swiss chard. Different things like borage. Borage is an interesting plant to watch grow, and you can take the flowers, blue flowers, and rinse them and put them in ice cubes and put them in your drinks, and that would be good. You can use all types of paths or different types of hardscaping to build a really neat design that you like. It might be one that you have to change a little bit, but it still will be what you design. There's a couple of pictures at the bottom that show like a gate going into a garden, and then different displays where they've taken looks like a tricycle and made different displays using the flowers and maybe the vegetables on that. You also can use some pots to grow some of your vegetables. The thing to be aware of with growing in pots is that it may dry out a lot quicker than it would if it's in the ground, and be harder to get the nutrients to the plants that you're growing. But if it's something like a small fruit tree that needs to go in the wintertime, it makes it a lot easier because you can move that into an area where it will be protected for the wintertime. I love putting different little statues of garden art around in my yard. I raise a few vegetables in 2 raised beds. I love my lettuces and spinaches and green onions and all of that. So I do raise some, and I do have a lot of different types of garden art in both the front yard and the backyard because I enjoy seeing that. Here's 3 more examples of some gardens that have been done. The one on the left, they're using the triangles with grass pathways going around them so that you can walk all through and see most of the things that are there. They have a type of fixture there that probably will give some shade if you wanted to go sit down and rest for a few minutes, because it looks like it might take you a little while to go through that one. In the upper right corner, it is different types of containers that they have grown some vegetables in. A lot of your vegetables will grow in a smaller space and do really well with that as long as you keep them watered and protect them from any squirrels or anything that you might have nearby. The third picture down at the bottom is in a backyard that is very narrow, but they put a sidewalk down one side and have different spots for different types of vegetables that they can grow depending on whether they need a little bit of shade or a lot of shade, whether they need a lot of sun, and that helps to kind of know what those needs are too. So you always have to kind of research that and know. Some of your vegetables that you're going to be planting will need to go out early in the year because certain greens will bolt on you when the weather gets really hot. And so you can have an early spring garden with a lot of your herbs and lettuces and things like that, and then plant another one later on in the fall after you've cleaned out the old debris. So there's lots of ways to look at it and to do it. Some of your root crops like beets and onions need to be planted, seeds planted or sets planted a little bit earlier so they have plenty of time to mature. And you usually can get 2 seasons out of those by planting early in the spring and harvesting, and then planting again in the fall so that you can have the same thing again in the fall. A lot of vegetables will work for that too. The quicker growing ones work really well for a double season. This is another type of garden that's been planted where they have different designs. It looks like rectangles, or I'm sorry, not triangles, around the center statue that's in the middle. It looks like a statue to me, and maybe not a person. This is, I understand, is cabbage and Swiss chard in the foreground. I love seeing Swiss chard with their green, red stems and green leaves. It's just, the colors just really pop out and make you want to really grow a whole lot of that, because it's really good and good for you. So there's a lot of things that you can do with that, depending on what you want and what you want to grow in your garden for vegetables, or for other things that you want for salads. Some people just want a salad garden and not anything else. Here's a couple more examples of gardens, front yard gardens. I would recommend that if you are in a community that has a homeowners association, that you would check with them before you plant anything in the front yard, especially vegetables, because they may or may not allow that. But I've seen here in Henrico County, I've seen quite a few people that have started some vegetables in their front yard, probably because they either had too much shade in the back or just not enough good soil in the back to do it with. And then there's, like I said, there's different ways of doing it. They've got it on both sides of a sidewalk on the right-hand side. And then the one at the bottom, they've got like raised beds, and really comes in handy with that too. So it makes it easier if it's harder for you to get to it, to have a raised bed makes it easier to work with sometimes. So that is a good idea. Here's some more examples of different vegetables that are grown. We're going to kind of pick out each one of those and talk a little bit about each concept that they're using here, because it's different things. This one looks like they have a lot of greens and so forth in it. It's down a fence line, kind of on a curving area there, but they can go out and pick whatever they need out of it. Parsley, this looks like parsley right here at the front, and maybe some kale right in here. It's nothing any better than going out and picking your own greens to make your salad. It's just so much better. Here's some with some more greens. It looks like some Swiss chard there, and some type of a cabbage. This one down here is an interesting one, and we'll talk a little bit about that design with something more, but that can be just an herb garden that you're putting around, and put all of your different herbs in it, like your parsley and any others that you're growing. My mind has gone on blank for a second or two, but basil, chives. I love growing my own chives, and whenever I have a baked potato, I can just go outside and cut some off and come back in and use them fresh on my potato. But you can just do all of your different herbs in there. Just maybe put a little divider there to keep them a little bit separate. Although if they if you're not careful, they may intergrow in the others, and that doesn't matter because they usually do good with that. There's lots of other garden ideas. We'll go over a couple more of them. Some people have built their own, okay, I can't think, trellis, so that they can grow grapevines or a hardy kiwi on some type of a arbor. You can do a lot of squash. You can do cucumbers that way. I've done my cucumbers like that before, which is really good. Some people like to mix the flowers in with it. You can do some rugosa roses. Rose hips on those are edible. I've already mentioned blueberries, which blueberries, depending on them, you have to, some species you have to have at least 2 so that they will cross-pollinate. There are some blueberry types out that you only need the one blueberry bush because it will pollinate itself. Their leaves are very interesting because they're not a bright green, but they are a green, and at times they can almost look like they have a bluish hue to them. I love seeing them grow, and they have their flowers first and then get their blueberries on them. Like I said, you have to kind of watch it to keep the squirrels and birds from getting a hold of them. Hardy kiwis sometimes can be done on an arbor close to where your kitchen is, or even possibly so that you can walk through it in order to get to your kitchen. There's lots of different types of things that you can do like that. I'd already mentioned about some of your citrus plants that need to go inside. You can do different containers of figs, pomegranates, or citrus plants throughout the garden, and then move them indoors for the winter time, and they'll continue to grow and do good. Herbs and edible flowers will brighten your garden. I know one trip I made to Blacksburg for Master Gardener College, we visited a lady's garden, and she served us daylilies flowers with potato salad in it. You cut them off, wash them out good, get the stamens and so forth out of it, and then put a dollop of potato salad in it, and it was very good. I was surprised that I didn't worry about what it was, but it was very good. Herbs, well, one of the first garden plants that started growing because of their culinary and ornamental and medicinal uses. So many herbs are medicinal, and you can use them for lots of things. Ginger, we know, because they always promote ginger ale, but ginger will help with an upset stomach lots of times. So there's lots of different things that you can use and come up with and grow yourself so that you have it your own thing. All right, a salsa garden. You can grow things just that will be for a salsa garden. If you are a person that likes salsa and don't want to have to buy the store-bought kind, you can grow your own Roma tomatoes or some type of heirloom tomato, bell peppers, even jalapeno peppers or the habaneros, cilantro, and your own onions, and then have everything that you need right there to make your own salsa. Then, of course, you have your salad garden, which you can plant lettuce, peas, arugula, green peppers, radish, all kinds of fresh herbs. Different varieties of lettuce are neat too, and they're very easy to grow. They really are. Again, these can bolt real easy when it gets really hot, so you have to be careful with that to make sure that you get it planted in time so that you can take advantage of all that's there before the weather gets too hot and it starts to bolt. More great ideas, a pizza garden. You know, if you have children or grandchildren that come over, it might be neat for them to see a pizza garden where you would do a big round circle and then divide it up. It looks like this one's divided into 4 parts, but you can do it into 6 parts and tell the children that's 6 slices of the pizza, and you're growing different things to go into the pizza and so forth. So that's really neat, and it will get children interested also in growing their vegetables and taking an interest in it. So many children don't know where their food comes from and how it's grown and so forth. So it's really a great thing to help children to learn how to do this so that they know, and just to call it your pizza and have a pizza party, a garden party, invite neighbors over and enjoy it with lots of other people and the children. We have more and more programs that are going into the schools that are growing different types of gardens so that children can know where their food comes from and how they get it and so forth. So it's interesting how many children don't know that, it actually has to grow and things like that before it gets to them. So that would be real interesting. You can also have, depending on your nationality or what you like, a Chinese or a Thai garden. Have all types of mustard greens, snow peas. I love snow peas. Thai basil, Asian red kale, bok choy, eggplant, coriander, daikon radish, endive, green onions, and all kinds of lettuce varieties that you can do. And you can blend that with other garden themes. You can have a statue of some type, or a raking garden, a Japanese maples, or a water feature. This particular one has the sidewalk that's going into the shed. I did read recently that a lot of different countries prefer to have crooked pathways so that the spirits won't follow them in. They won't follow them around the curve. They don't like straight walkways and so forth. That's just a little side note there that I've read up on. Okay. Children's gardens, there's different things that you can do with that. A lot of children are wanting to grow things now. They find out that apple seeds sometimes, or peach pits, pineapple tops, sweet potatoes, white potatoes. White potatoes are so easy. If you buy them and you put them away and forget about them, and then they start growing eyes, you can take and put those in a 5-gallon bucket, keep it watered and a little fertilizer, and grow not a whole lot, but some potatoes in 5-gallon buckets. I've done that before. You can do a rainbow garden with the different colors. I've seen for different events having the red, white, and blue to represent the American flag. A scratch and sniff garden. An alphabet garden, knowing the names of different things, or a butterfly garden. Butterflies are really interesting, and I've got fennel planted out in my front yard that I don't even use to cook with, because I have so many butterflies that lay their eggs, and then the caterpillars hatch out and eat most of the fennel down. And it's just interesting to teach all of the grandchildren about nature and what all can happen. So a butterfly garden is an interesting thing to do. And the monarch butterflies are becoming a lot more rare because of diseases and herbicide, different types of chemicals that are being put on things. So you have to be real careful with that. We don't want to kill them off altogether. There's an herb garden, just for herbs for different things. You can dry a lot of herbs and keep them for later on. There's a lot of different good books out that tell you about medicinal herbs that you can grow for yourself. That one, it's got like a bird bath in the middle of it. The top picture, it looks really nice. Things growing. It looks like some lavender might be in there. You can have a tea garden where you can grow things like chamomile, lemon balm, mint. I've got both chocolate mint and mountain mint growing. I like to bring the leaves in, wash them, and then put them in some ice water, and it kind of tints the water to taste a little bit like the chocolate mint or the other mint. So that can be nice too for that. Have a tea party with that type of a thing would be real interesting. And mine grow really good in zinc tubs that I've got with holes in the bottom. That keeps it also, because most of your mints will will overgrow, and the roots will go way out, and all of a sudden you'll have a whole yard of nothing but mint if you don't keep it contained. So you do have to keep it contained. Kitchen garden plants such as peppers, all kinds of peppers are good. Chili peppers, I don't care a whole lot for the really hot peppers. I love my all kinds of sweet peppers that are really, really good. And they're easy to grow. Uh, uh, Very little trouble with those unless they have too many on it. Be sure to get your fruits off or your vegetables pulled and taken in. If you do have them, of course, with the kitchen gardens, you wouldn't have as much of a problem with this. But once you pick your vegetables or your whatever you've got growing, you want to make sure you go ahead and get it inside and rinse it off. Because as soon as you disconnect that from the vine, it is no longer getting the nourishment it needs from the plant. So it will, not immediately, but it will start its deterioration process because it's not connected to the its plant any longer. So be aware of that, especially if it's out in the hot sun and you pick it and let it sit there. It could cause it to deteriorate a little bit quicker than it would if you protected it or took it inside. Some more kitchen garden plants that we're going to look at. There's a couple kinds of kale there. I love the curly kale, but I love the other one too. The red Russian is really good. And it's good for you. It's a good plant to have and to grow. And it's, again, to me, and I've said this too many times, I guess, but to me, it's just a real satisfaction to be able to go outside and pick it and eat it fresh because you know where it came from and that it is definitely fresh. There's lettuce. There's only showing 3 kinds here, but there are dozens and dozens of different kinds of lettuces. More people grow just the leaf lettuce than they do the heads of lettuce because it's easier to go out and get just enough for one meal without bringing the whole head in. But lettuces grow really well until it gets too hot, and then they will bolt and go to seed, and that causes them to be a little bit more bitter than what they would be if you had gotten them before they had bolted. Okay. Here's some Swiss chard. Like I said, I love seeing Swiss chard, the red kind, grow, and it's good too. It's interesting to put it, I mix some of my vegetables in with my flowers that I have in the yard, and I'll have people stop lots of times thinking it's some type of a flower and say, what kind of flower is that right there? And I have to tell them, well, that's borage, or that's Swiss chard, or my spring onions, or something like that. So it makes for a good conversation with neighbors or people that are walking by. Tomatoes, we all know love our tomatoes. Hanover tomatoes are supposed to be the best, but sometimes I think it's just the soil they're grown in. I think mine are the best, but that's debatable, I am sure. There are dozens and dozens of types of tomatoes out there. One that my dad loved to grow was called a pear tomato, and it was a little bitty yellow one, and it looked just like a pear. And we love those. I'm the oldest of 5, and we love to go out in the garden and pick the pear tomatoes and just eat them before we even get back to the house. So that's really good, and they're fresh. Eggplant is another good one, good for you, and different ways of being able to fix it so that it's nourishing and gives you the different nutrients that you need. A lot of people don't like eggplant, but I do, and I think it's great. Fried eggplant is wonderful. And it doesn't take up a whole lot of room. You can have 1 eggplant, 1 tomato plant, 1 pepper plant, or 2 of each and plant them in sequence where you have the tomatoes are going to come in and do part of their growth and producing of tomatoes, and then the second time you plant one, it will come in later. So you can do it in segments like that will help you to have things growing a lot more of the time and on into the fall so that you can enjoy it a whole lot more. Other garden plants, there's beets. I love pickled beets, and they're good for you too. On the left is a cucumber in a raised bed, and they have made their own homemade type of trellis for it because it keeps the cucumbers up off of the ground. The insects will possibly get into them a whole lot more if they're on the ground. And trellising them keeps them up so that off of the ground so they don't start to rot if you don't get it in time. Gives it more of an opportunity to get the sun's rays all around and instead of being covered by the leaves all of the time. Radishes can grow quickly. Children love to plant those because they can, in 2 to 3 weeks most of the time, they can go out there and start pulling it and wash the dirt off and just go ahead and eat it right then and there. So lots of ways to do it, lots of ways to teach the children to get interested in this. Because one of these days we may have to have more families growing their own vegetables. Who knows? We don't know what might be going on in this day and time with like the pandemic. If you are afraid to go to the store to get other vegetables and you're growing them at home, then you know what's in it and what it's been exposed to, and are more likely to eat fresh vegetables and be better for your health that way. Blueberries, we've talked about that a couple of times. They are delicious. It's really nice to be able to go out and pick your own vegetables and blueberries and put them in pancakes or in your cereal or whatever. It's really nice to be able to go out and do that yourself. So I love doing that. Okay. Back to the herbs again. There's basil, sage, rosemary. All of those are really good to use in the different things that you cook. And, you know, like I said, with all of the other things, I'm repeating myself over and over, but you know what chemicals are or are not in it. And so you have a better chance of knowing that and being safer with what you're eating when you do grow your own, and you know it's fresh. You know it hasn't been shipped in from another state and they've just kept it in a place cool and really chilly. That's going to keep it a little bit fresher for you, but you going out and picking it yourself, you know it's going to be fresh and taste fresher and be better for you. We talked a little bit about trees that you can grow yourself. There's so many different kinds now. There's a fig that is you're supposed to be able to grow in Virginia or parts of Virginia and get figs off of it. I understand that deer love figs a lot, so if you're in an area where you might have deer coming in, that might not be as feasible. But there's so many different species now, more dwarf types of things that you can get and grow in your own yard if you have a large enough yard. Peaches can be done. A lot of these you have to research, know what their height will be in 10 or 12 years, what insects or diseases they're prone to. It's a good idea to do a lot of research on it before you do buy them. Some people just see it in the store and say, oh, that'd be neat, let me go buy it. And then the very first year, everything gets infected with insects because you don't see the insects. Sometimes there are insects that lay eggs on some of the fruit, and you don't notice that until after the fruit has started rotting. So be sure to do your research really good. Virginia Tech University in Blacksburg has a great website with a lot of different publications in it that you can research. It's always a good idea to use any university-based research and not just something that's on Google, because your universities and so forth, North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, a lot of others, they have done the research and they know because they've spent so much time researching it, what is good for it. If you are not sure of something, like Ed had mentioned earlier, they, especially once they get the extension office open back up, you can take samples of insects in and find out what kind it is. But doing your research ahead of time really does help and saves you from losing anything, flowers, roses, vegetables, trees, any of that. Research what their 20-year height and width would be, because if you don't know, if they tell you, oh, it's just going to grow to 6 feet, that might only be a 5-year rate. So you want to know what 20 years from now the height and the width of it's going to be, because of where you're going to put it in case you have a smaller yard. Okay. Well, there's a lot of resources out there that you can get. The libraries have lots of really good books that are based on good things. There's a really nice book that's called Square Foot Gardening that you can use to do your raised beds. And for some people, that if you can't reach over or if you can't bend down, you can do a raised bed that would be up higher, that would keep you from having to bend over a whole lot. So there's lots of different ideas like that. Might keep some of the animals from getting up into it if you have one that's higher, you know, a couple of 3 feet higher or something. So there's lots of good ways to do it. In this amount of time, we can't cover all of the details, but you know, I've tried to cover as many of the things as I can. There's lots of things to read on Victorian kitchen gardens, histories about all of the different gardens and so forth. If you've not ever tried to grow your something on your own, it's really a neat experience and gives you a little bit of a swelled head to be able to go out and say, I grew this myself and I'm going to eat it. So I hope you have some good questions that we can answer for you. I'm going to turn it back over to Ed now so that he can start looking at the questions.
Thanks a lot, Grace. Really appreciate it. Great presentation. For those of you that may be thinking that it's a little too late to get started, container gardening is always a great way to go. That you can easily go and start a kitchen garden and a container garden without much of a problem. Thinking about a pizza garden, you can easily do a container with a tomato, easily do a container with a pepper, and then do a container with mixed herbs. So that you can easily do and start now. And then as the summer goes, you can easily switch it out and then go into a lettuce garden and then start planning for next year. So Grace, we had a couple comments. One of them was, you mentioned your small fruit trees, bushes being attacked by birds. Do you have any good suggestions for keeping birds away?
Well, there is a bird netting that you can get that that has to be put up very securely, because I have done that on the blueberries and the birds get underneath it. I don't know how. I have it from the ground all the way to the top and so forth. But bird netting can help some with that. Sometimes features that might move in the air would scare them off to begin with, but not later on, because they get used to it. And so they know after several flies overs that these features that you've put there are not real and they're not going to hurt them at all. But bird netting is about the only thing I can think of right now that does have some security to it. Not a whole lot, but some. Birds are smarter than we are sometimes.
And sometimes with bird netting, you still need to use stakes around your shrubs, because the a loose net over the plant, the birds can easily kind of land on it, put it in close to the fruit, and they can still get the fruit. So sometimes you need to have that staking material to get that net off of the plant so the birds can't get close to the fruit. Right.
And there is a type of like a little house or fixture that you can buy. I don't know the cost or anything, but I have seen them, a fixture that you can put up over your, that keeps it up off of the vines and so forth.
Grace, there were several comments that echoed your sentiments about pear tomatoes being the greatest.
Oh, great.
People like them. What variety of pear tomatoes are you growing in your garden? Do you know what the varieties are, or you just grow them by color?
No, I just pick up a packet and start growing them.
How do you contain mint plants from spreading so much?
Use zinc tubs, the larger zinc tubs, about 2.5 feet across, and drill holes. You have to use a special bit, but drill holes in it, and then put it up on bricks so that water can go out of it and the insects and so forth can't get up underneath it.
You could also bury containers and still plant them
yes.
like a plastic container. Zinc won't do well buried, but you can do plastic containers and bury them. Depending on the size of the hole and how deep they are, you may still need to put some screening or something to keep over the holes so they don't go down, but that's another way also. Question about where in Henrico can we see examples of vegetable gardens in front yards? Unfortunately, I don't know of any to be able to direct people to, especially that are public. So that you just might have to drive around and see what you've got there. Grace, what is the best time to plant collards, mustard, kale, spinach, and arugula for fall or winter harvest?
For fall, I think towards the end of September is best for that, if I'm not mistaken.
Transplants in the late fall is a good time. You can start seedlings inside in late August.
Okay.
Question, do you know of any other, you mentioned that daylily flowers are edible. Do you know of some other edible flowers?
I think echinacea is. The borage, the flowers for the borage are supposed to be edible, or the petals, the blue petals of that is supposed to be edible. Oh gosh, you put me on the spot. I can't think right this minute.
Marigolds are another that are very common. They're growing now in this time of the year. Nasturtiums are also edible. They're a cool season in Virginia, so they're typically going to be grown in the spring. Also, a lot of your squash flowers are edible. You can grow squash plants, harvest them. I know some fancy restaurants will stuff them with a cream, kind of like a cheese filling, and use squash flowers.
Yes, yes.
There was a question about using fabric containers. Do you have any experience with them versus regular containers? Do they retain water or dry out faster?
I used one time. It's too flexible for me. It gives too much in the growth, and with the growth of what's in it, it dries out a whole lot faster than even your pots. It really does. So you have to keep it watered constantly.
Do you have any experience growing garlic?
I grew it one year and got some. I didn't get a whole lot. It didn't do as well as I had expected it to, but I haven't tried it any since.
All right. Any other plant-related questions? Go ahead and enter them in. There were some that were logistical. There was a question about whether this is was this being recorded and will it be posted, and will the slides be posted later? We're still looking into that at this time. I have to do some background things to it. I was recording it, but I have to do some other things to it in order to post it publicly. If we do post it publicly, I will send it out to the attendee list and those that missed it, as well as posting it on the Facebook post for the kitchen garden event that we had on the Facebook page. There's another question about Master Gardener training class. On the Henrico Master Gardener training class, applications are available September 1st. We accept applications September through October. The committee with myself review applications in November, and conduct interviews, and we make announcements to potential trainees in December. And then our class starts in January and runs through March. Our classes are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 12:30. After doing a 50-hour in-class training, then at the end of March, then you become an intern Master Gardener, and you have to pay back the 50 hours training by doing 50 hours worth of volunteer work in the Master Gardener program, and then you are considered a Master Gardener. So be on the lookout. We post our applications September 1st. You can check on the extension website, which is henrico.us/extension. Let me see what else is coming up here. Hold on for just a second here. I just put up our contact information on the screen for people. I think that is all the questions that we've got. If you need to, again, reach out to our office. The phone number is on the screen. Give us a call and we'll be glad to answer your questions. There is also a feature on our websites, again, henrico.us/extension, where you can go online and submit a question as well as submit pictures. If you have bugs or diseases or something that you want help getting identified, you can submit pictures since we can't accept physical samples at this time. So thank you for participating in today's presentation by the Henrico Master Gardeners, the Henrico Extension Office, Henrico County Public Libraries, and the Fairfield Area Library. Our next program in the Growing at Home series is scheduled for August 13th, where we will discuss the topic of growing a beautiful lawn in the RVA. At this time, we do not know if the program will be able to be presented in person or will be held virtually. Please watch for information in mid-July regarding how to register for this program. Thank you for your attendance and have a nice rest of the evening.